I'm Marv Record with the Campbell County Historical Society, and we're doing an oral interview today with Mr. Lester Wanner and his wife Mary. We're in Cold Spring, and this is the 8th of November 2013. And how fortunate we are that Mr. Wanner is 95, just celebrated his birthday, so I'm going to let him tell a little bit about his early life and his schooling and whatever. Go ahead.
Introduce himself.
Well, I was born in Aspen Grove, and my grandfather had a 59-acre farm, and I don't know whether I think it was Racetrack Road, but we had a small 3-room cottage, and that's where my mother and dad lived when I was born. And I was about 2, maybe 3 years old, and we moved to Alexandria. That was known as Sloptown at the time.
Do you know why or how that name came about for Sloptown?
There was no gravel on the road, there was no rocks on the road. When it would rain, it would be knee-deep in mud. The only way you could get in and out of the place was with a horse and buggy. And my grandfather sold the farm and bought a farm in Alexandria.
Okay.
And he had a tenant house, and we moved into that tenant house. And that's where we lived. And my right at the same time, my oldest sister was born. I don't know whether she was born in Sloptown or in Alexandria, but that's where she was born.
And what was her name?
Goldie. Her name was Goldie, and she was named after my mother. My mother's name was Hattie, but her name was Hattie Goldie. And I really don't know what else would you want.
So, where did you go to school in Alexandria?
I went to school at Campbell County High School, where Brossard is now.
Uh-huh.
That used to be the Campbell County High School. And I went to school there, and for, I believe it was maybe 4 years. And my dad was transferred to Independence, and I went to Simon Kenton for 2 years.
I see.
And then we moved back from Simon Kenton, and I finished out the my school year, and I finished the 9th grade and was getting ready to go into the 10th. And I thought maybe I knew more than the teachers did, so I thought I would quit. And Mr. Frank Thatcher promised me if I would go and continue on. I had plans to be a doctor, and if I would go on, and he would pay my tuition all the way through college if I would go on back to school. But I was thick-headed enough not to go. So that's the way I wound up. He had the Keyes brothers were his grandsons, and he always liked me along with his, and I spent as much time at the Keyes homestead as I did my own.
Kind of like having a second family and a second mother.
Yeah, and they lived on where it's called Walnut Park now. That's where Keyes lived. That was the Keyes homestead. And their mother's name was Fan, or Frances Keyes, and she married George Keyes. And he had a butcher shop in Alexandria.
Now, I know you had said something earlier about your father was in World War I, and you were born like a month before he got out of the service, or close to that range.
I was a month old to the day when he was let out of service.
And what did he do in the service?
He took care of the, I don't know what you would call it.
Well, he was probably mules and horses.
It was the mules and the horses.
In World War I, there was a ton of animals still.
Yeah, he took care of all the animals and was like a trainer and did all the work in the army.
And he thought so highly of his job in the military that he bought.
Yeah, when he thought so much of the Hornets and he took so much care. The Hornets was his life. He had to have it all shined up and polished all the time, and it was brass-mounted Hornets. And when they had the sale, the surplus sale in Fort Thomas, why, he bid on the Hornets and bought 2 sets of the of the Hornets.
So whatever happened to the military harness?
That I don't know.
Yeah.
Now they disappeared. Someone thought they needed it more than we did, so they walked off with it.
I understand.
Did your dad go overseas?
Ma'am?
Did he go overseas?
No. My dad never. He got ready to go overseas, but he hadn't completed his duty, I guess. But I don't really know. I can't think of the name. I know he was in Fort Knox, but I don't know what the other camp was where he trained.
Yes. Well, during World War I, Fort Thomas was one of the major training areas, and Fort Knox was usually for the armor.
Yeah.
And some cavalry. So I'm sure that his cavalry experience probably was assigned to one of the units up here that then got moved down. Now, I know you had a lot of jobs in your life. What was your first job that you remember that you got paid for? You know, growing up on a farm, you always had jobs.
My first job, I think, I worked for Mr. Leonard Schultz on the farm, and he was a farmer that raised a lot of rhubarb and onions.
Ah.
And he always had me to bunch his onions and after they were cleaned and ready to tie in the bundles, he always had me to bundle them for him and hand them to him so he could tie them.
So did he pay you by the week or by the hour? Or?
Oh, he paid me maybe by the job.
Uh-huh.
Probably 50 cents a day.
Yes. Well, that's a pretty good start for the first job.
Yeah, and that, well, I worked for Mr. Frank Thatcher for 50 cents a day, and I off-bared wood off of a cut-off saw when I was only 12 years old. And I worked all day long, from 6 in the morning till 6 in the evening. And then when Mr. Frank Thatcher, when he turned his I don't know, his things over to his son Jack, why, then I worked for Jack for a while.
I see.
But otherwise, that was one of my first jobs.
And then eventually you became a truck driver. You were hauling milk. Was this canned milk, I'm sure, at that time?
There was milk in 10-gallon cans.
Okay.
And we started at our milk route of a morning at 4 o'clock in the morning, and up in Carthage, on Washington Trace, and picked up milk from there all the way into Silver Grove, to 4 Mile Pike into Silver Grove. And our last customer that we picked up milk at their farm was Mrs. Fogel. And she lived right on the edge, the outskirts of Silver Grove. She had a big vegetable farm, and she raised milk cows and shipped her milk into Jersey Farm Dairy.
Okay. Now, how many dairies did you deliver to?
We delivered to Trout Dairy, which was owned by Louis Trout,
One-man company. Yeah.
and Mr. Trout was the main man, and his wife was the bookkeeper, and his son, Louis Trout, Louis Jr., was one of the helpers, and Albert Trout was was another son, and they both worked in the dairy. And that's the extent of their employees.
Now, was it pretty common for, let's say, all these people that were shipping milk in 10-gallon cans?
Yeah.
They shipped it to different dairies, and you made one trip every day to all the different dairies.
We made a trip and unloaded the milk at the different cans had different colored numbers on them,
Yes.
and we knew which number belonged to which dairy and where to deliver them to. French buyers and Townsend West and Newport Dairy, and we had
And Cloverleaf, right?
Jersey Farm in Fort Thomas.
Mhm.
And I don't really know if there's any other. There was one other small dairy that was on Grand Avenue, but he just got a couple of cans of milk.
Yeah.
But
Now, you mentioned earlier your sister Goldie. How many other sisters and brothers did you have?
well, there was 9 of us in the family,
I see.
and there was myself, and then Goldie, and Violet, and Hazel, and Ruth, and Kenneth, and Charles, and Bonnie.
The girls outnumbered the boys, didn't they?
Yeah,
That they were all probably pretty good farm workers, weren't
yeah.
they?
You're the oldest?
Having the oldest.
Are any of the rest of them still alive?
No, Charles is dead, and Violet is dead, but the rest of us are living.
Do they live
There's a-
here?
Excuse me, but there's a picture of them on the refrigerator.
There's a picture of it.
About-
them on
Do
the
they live
refrigerator.
here?
Well,
And they live in Campbell County, or close by?
some of them live in Campbell, some of them lives in Campbell County and then
Goldie lives in Cincinnati,
Cincinnati, some in Ohio, some in
and
Kentucky.
Hazel lives in Middletown, and Bonnie lives in Alexandria.
Mhm.
I've got the picture of your remaining siblings, and if you can tell me where the focus.
Just put it in front of the... Let's see if that works. Oh.
And they have a very extended family picture on the refrigerator also.
Yeah.
That, how many grandchildren do you folks have?
Oh, I'd be afraid to count.
Gave up counting, huh?
Okay. I'm Mary Warner. I was born in Owsley County, a little place called Sugar. They're all branched off, like Sugar Camp, Gore Buffalo, and just But our place was Sugar Camp, and they all said the reason our little place was Sugar Camp because it had sugar trees that ran, and so I was born there, and then I went to school at we had a little Sugar Camp church, and school. School was 5 days a week, and on Sunday it was church, and all in the same little building, and had a steeple on it. I got a picture of it over there, of the school.
I'll
Right
get
over
to
there.
that in a second. I'll look for it.
Okay.
Tell me
And-
about your parents.
Yeah, there's my mom and dad.
What
There's
were
my
their
mother
names?
and father
What were their
in the
names?
little. Right there's my dad and mom, right there. Yeah, that one is my mom and dad. My father, look how short my mom is.
And what's their names?
Hiram, 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 and Lily Barrett.
Barry.
Barrett. I was a Barrett before I got
Okay.
married. Barrett. It might be over on the other side.
Oh, I would have thought I would have recognized the church, but,
A little
oh, yes.
church.
What a beautiful little
Oh,
frame church.
yeah, yeah. That's my
And it was a
happy,
school,
that's
5
my
days a
happy
week.
days.
How many rooms were in that school?
Oh,
One teacher?
one teacher, one room.
Ah, yes.
One room schoolhouse. Yeah.
What
And
was the name of it?
Sugar Cap School.
Sugar Camp School.
And the teacher would get up, and we were all sitting in our seats, you know, and she would call like the first grade, and she would have them recite the ABCs and whatever, you know. Then she'd call the second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, and up to the eighth. And I went to that little Sugar Camp school until I was through with the eighth grade. And then after that, I went to the, Boonville High School, and I stayed there 4 years, and I graduated in 1947. And I had a scholarship. Well, this missionary that lived in California, I'll try to get it straight, lived in California, was my like godmother. I used to stay with Rebecca Hurd, and she was a missionary, and she lived in a community house, and she never did get married. Rebecca Hurd never got married, and she wanted somebody to stay with her at night, you know, and so she was, when I was going to school, she asked me if I would come stay with her a night, and I'd go spend the night with her, and she's the only one in the community that had a telephone, one of them crank telephones, you know, and so I would go up and spend the night with her, and she'd get up, and I would go out, and we had no inside plumbing, you know, and if we wanted to go to the outhouse, we could, you know. And she had I'll tell it this way, she had a slop jar that she would get up, and instead of going out in the dark, you know, she'd use this slop jar. And of course I would too if I had to get up, but I was young and I hardly ever had to get up at night. And so we'd get up and she'd fix our breakfast, and we would have devotional. She had a little devotional book, and she'd read the devotional and read the Bible every morning. And so that instilled in me to, you know, to read my Bible and do my, when I was home, I didn't have well, I had a Bible, but I didn't continue faithfully reading it every morning. And to this day, you know, I get my Bible in there and read, and I don't do it every morning. I should, but I forget. Well, I'm just busy. There's no excuse, but you know. But I did go to high school, and I graduated, and then they wanted. I could have went to college, but I was dating my husband. Well, I married him, but
And what was your first husband's name?
Virgil Riley, and he said, "Well, Mary, if you want to go to college, I'll just re-enlist in the service." So he got me that way, and I said, "Well, you know, I would only see him, you know, on furloughs and stuff." So we eloped. My mom and dad wasn't confirmed as much as my brothers wanted me to go on to school, and but we ran off together and got married in DeSoto, Mississippi. DeSoto, Mississippi. Then you didn't have to have a you
License
know,
and blood tests and things.
blood test and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
but you could go there, and we were married in this minister's front parlor. They call it front parlor.
Mhm.
And so we came back, and we were married, and we came back and stayed with their father-in-law, Bill and Martha Riley, about 3 months till they could build us a house. And building a house then, they would get together. You ever heard of
Similar
Bill?
to a barn raising.
Yeah, yeah. No, we didn't have a farm.
Oh,
But,
okay.
yeah, he worked for a farmer, Frank Moore. They grew tobacco. And he'd go down to Frank Moore's after we got married and help put up the tobacco, and they would get the tobacco and,
Tied in hands.
tied hands, yeah, and then put it in stacks. And at the first of the year, they'd take it down at, was it Frankfurt or somewhere, and they'd sell the tobacco, and that's about what people lived on. That's what they got out of their yearly tobacco growing and selling it. And so,
So he earned enough money there to pay for material to build a house?
Oh, well, really, there was a lumber yard up there well, after I got married, I grew up on Sugartown, but I got married at DeSoto, Mississippi, but then my Virgil's dad and mom lived on Cow Creek. I don't know how I
And
got
that was in
Cow-
Owsley County too?
Yeah, yeah, Cow Creek. And there's a little church on Cow Creek, a Presbyterian church, and a minister came, and he was Joe Palace. He came as a student that was studying to go overseas. I think he told us that he studied to go overseas, but he said when he came there at that little church on Sugar Camp, that he was driving up the road or something, and he looked and saw the roof was, the reflection of the sun was hitting that tin roof, and he said he was just amazed. He said, and he wrote a book that was called, I've got the book, the Church of the Golden Roof, and I've got it out there in my bookcase. And so he continued writing, Joe Palace, the minister, continued to write books, and I've got 8 or 9 of his books, and because, he preached my dad's funeral.
Mm-hmm.
No, I. Gabbard. There's a minister called I. Gabbard. I believe that he preached Dad's funeral, and
this is after you moved up to Campbell County, correct? This is after you've moved to Campbll County when your
no,
husband
I
died?
still lived on Sugar Camp, and like I said, when I got married, we moved
In with your in-laws?
in with my in-laws. Most people did that for a little while. They lived with their in-laws until they, she was my mother-in-law, and Bill was my father-in-law. We just lived with them like 3 months, and until they built us a little house, little 2-room house.
Uh-huh.
That's where we,
So how many children did you and Bill have?
Virgil.
Virgil,
Yeah,
sorry, yes,
yeah.
Virgil.
We had 2 daughters and 2 sons, and then I had my oldest daughter is Lila, and she married Fred Losey, and then my youngest daughter married Doug Forth.
Yeah,
and
from
so-
on Persimmon Grove.
No,
Or maybe Alexandria, yeah.
yeah, they lived in Alexandria, and so then.
So your husband died the day
Yeah,
of the Beverly Hills fire.
Yeah, yeah, he had worked all, he worked at Spring Grove Avenue at a place called Queen City Steel Heat Treating Company. He had worked there for 23 years, I think, and he had worked all day. They called him in on a Saturday. He was the working foreman, you know, and they wanted something put out, you know, some kind of machinery or something. And he came home, and I had fixed he had to work on Saturday. He got off like 4 o'clock or something. We got home, I had a real good meal for him. I had fried pork chops, and I went down in the garden, and it was in May. He died the 30th of May, and we would, the first garden, you'd put out lettuce. You know, lettuce, you know, that make a salad.
Right.
And I had fried the pork chops, and I went down and I picked that real lettuce, you know, that was real fresh and all, and washed it and cleaned it, and then I put this bacon grease out of the pork chops made a grease salad.
A dressing, yes.
And
Old-fashioned wilted lettuce.
yeah, and he ate a real good supper, and then after he ate, he laid down on the couch, and he said, "I'm going to take me a nap." And he slept all evening and up until about 11:30, and he just laid on the couch and opened his eyes, and I said, "Virgil, Beverly Hills is on fire." I said, "Oh goodness, they've been about 100, at that time 160 something killed already in the fire." And he said, you know, he didn't, I don't know if he made a comment or what. And I said, "I'm going on to bed," you know, because I had watched the news.
Sure.
And he just laid there, and he came to bed, and he said, he got up and he raised up in the bed. He said, "Mary, I am so sick." We had these something for sick at your stomach.
Oh, Alka-Seltzer.
Alka-Seltzer, that's what I was trying to think of, Alka-Seltzer. And I went and I put 2 in a glass, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and stirred it up for him. And maybe he drunk it, yeah. And I said, "Virgil," I said, "it was May, you know, and it was really hot. We had an air conditioner in the window. We didn't have central air." And he said he got out in the yard, and he was walking up and down the yard, and he was doing this. His arm was hurt, and he was doing this, you know. And I called and he sat down in a chair, and I called my son, and I said, "I think your dad may be having a heart attack." I didn't know nothing about a heart attack. And Ronnie came down, because he just lived 50 minutes away.
Yeah.
And he came down, and he took his dad by the arm, you know, and when he fell over, he sat down in a lawn chair, and he keeled over, and he had one shoe on, house shoes. You know, he'd put off his working shoes, put on house shoes, and I said, "Ronnie, I think he's having a heart attack." Well, when he fell over, Ronnie got him up and put him in the back seat of the car. And I sat in the back seat, and I kept slapping his face like that. "Speak to me, speak to me." And I could see foam coming out of his mouth, on each side of his mouth, you know.
And, you know, it's fortunate that you were able to be there when he...
Yeah, I know it.
And how many children were still living at home at that time?
Oh, well, my oldest daughter had gotten married. But and my son, my other son, Kenny, had went down, there's a place they all went to fish down on the lake, you know. And my youngest boy was only 19, I think, and he was still living at home.
I see.
And then I had Becky, my youngest daughter, you know, her and Kenny and Becky were still at home. Lila had gotten married and Ronnie had gotten married. And so
you still had a pretty good-sized family at home to take care of as a widow. And
yeah. Well, I was just 49 when he died. He was 52, and I was 49, and so I lived there on South Main. We had bought a new home. I mean, first new house we ever had. You know, a brick home, real nice, and I lived there. Well, he died that night, and my Lila and my oldest daughter and Fred just took over because I was a basket case. I mean, when they came in and told me that he died, I said, no, he isn't dead. And they said I pushed the doctor away. I said, he can't be dead. And they said, we're sorry, you know. So they took him, Lila called the Boonville funeral home, and had them come and take him to Boonville. And so we had the funeral and everything, you know. And so...
now, is he buried on top of a hill, which seems to be pretty common down in that part of the country?
Yeah, there's a graveyard. They called it the Callahan graveyard because Virgil's mom was a Callahan.
I see.
And they, all the relatives, you know, like the
Sure, and they didn't ever want to
family
use
graveyard.
they never did want to use the flat land, or what reasonably flat land there was. They figured this top of the hill was a good place for a cemetery.
Yeah, well, the church was right there,
Okay.
that little church, and the Cow Creek Church, and then the graveyard is right around from the church, you know, and all the Cow Creek people mostly was buried there, and then my father and mother now was buried on Sugar Camp. See, and my brothers, Clint and Ike, I had 5 brothers, and so they're all dead now except I have a sister. Just my sister and I are the only ones living. All my brothers are dead. And,
So is your sister still down in Osley County, or is she up here
no,
too?
she's here.
Oh,
She lives on California Crossroads.
I see.
You know where that's at?
I know where the California Crossroad is, yes. What's her
Yeah,
name?
yes, Chandler.
Okay.
It's at Chandler.
Yes,
Yeah.
she's just south of number 10. On the,
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
past the bridge.
Yeah, and her husband died of a sudden heart attack. My sister's husband did, and she's still a widow. She
I
never
see.
did remarry after Roy died.
Okay.
And-
So that kind of brings us up to when you two folks met.
Oh, yeah.
You were a widow for how long?
About 12 years. And but we met through church. This Cold Spring, the church down there on number
1998.
yeah, 1998.
The oldest congregation in Campbell County.
Yeah, yeah. And so that's where Virgil wouldn't go to church with me. I'm sorry to say. I would beg him to go to church. He would take me to church, and with my Lila, you know, Lila. I would take Lila and
Right.
Kenny
Right.
to church, and he would drop us off. And then the church was over at 12, maybe 12 or 12. But he would come back and get us. He'd take me to church, and then he'd come back and get us.
Well, that's
Instead-
certainly a treasured married life.
Oh, yeah. So anyway, yeah, he was a good person, but he would not go to church with me. And that night that he died, you know, I couldn't say that he was saved, but they say you can get saved.
Oh, he's a good person, so,
Yeah,
and a lot of people do not need formal religion
Yeah,
to have
well,
a
they
close.
say, you know, that you can get saved in the twinkling of an eye, and I hope and pray that he did.
So that brings us up to, you were 12 years and you met through the church.
Yeah, and we used to go to flea markets, you know, like yard sales and flea markets. And we used to go to the Walton Flea Market. You know where that's at?
Yes, I do.
Walton Flea Market. And it was on a Tuesday. So I had, there was 4 of us, my sister and Bert and I, and we'd go to Walton Flea Market. Elsie did go, I think. But anyway, he used to come to the flea market too, you know. And Bert and I, my girlfriends, would say, "Mary, there comes Les." You know, they kind of was pushing me and Les together. And I never even thought about, you know, going with him. And are you asleep, Les?
No, he's enjoying this.
I'm
Did
just
you
trying-
So,
I'm
anyway-
just-
Married? Were you
Listen.
married before?
No.
Oh.
No.
No,
I'm
he
just
was
listening,
bachelor.
that's all.
Yeah.
Preferred bachelor?
Oh, yeah. Well, see, my husband was dead. So anyway, we got married down there. He and I got married down at the little church.
In Owsley County.
No, we got married here. See, he grew up in Campbell County.
Right, yes.
Yeah. And but we got married there,
I
and
was Sunday school secretary for 65 years.
Wow. And this
Yeah.
is at the, it was called the First Baptist of Cold Spring at that time, right?
yeah, First Baptist
Right.
Cold Spring.
Yeah.
And
So,
then-
for 65 years, you'd been the secretary of the Sunday school.
Yeah, I
And
had
she
to
was
resign when I had a stroke 2 years ago,
Uh,
and I had to resign.
I see. So how old were you, and, I mean, what year was it that you were married?
Oh, yeah, 69. I was 69,
Uh-huh.
and he was, what were you, 80?
I don't.
When we got married?
I don't know. I'd have to figure.
Long
back.
time back.
Six-
So how many years do you think you've been married?
25.
Okay, wow.
25,
Well, congratulations on
20
that.
Well, thank you, yeah. And, yeah, you know, I had, you know, I was 49, and you consider that young,
Mm.
because my daughter is just 49, and she almost looks like a teenager to me.
Now, I know that you built the house, or you had it built here.
I
and
built it.
You built it.
He built it,
I built
So
it.
you were a single person living in this big house?
yeah.
No, I wasn't single.
Oh, I see.
My first wife and I were married 44 years.
Oh,
before-
okay.
Before she died.
I see.
She died with colon cancer.
Uh-huh. Well, in Campbell County, northern Kentucky, Cincinnati, you know,
Yeah.
most of us are going to be touched by cancer in
Yeah.
our lifetime.
That's right.
Yeah.
So you were married 44 years?
44 years I was married,
Okay.
and
Yeah, I had colon cancer, but I thank the Lord through.
And the survival rate is terrific if it's caught.
Oh, yeah, if it's caught early. That's what
So-
the doctor said.
So you've been here 25 years?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
yeah, we've been here more than
I-
25 years.
I sold my house in Highland Heights,
Uh-huh,
the house that, you know, Bert and I lived in,
right.
because I didn't want to,
So wait a minute, you built this house before you got married?
Oh, no, my first wife.
With
and
your
I-
first wife?
My first wife and I built it
Yeah.
together.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, and he's got 2 girls and 1 boy that's left, you know.
And you said there was 14 acres here?
Yeah, there was 14 acres, and all that subdivision back there used to belong to me. And I practically gave it away, and
Back then,
I sold 11 acres for $5,500.
Yeah.
And they got $740,000 for it when they sold it.
Well, you're allowed to make a little profit, I guess. Now, the dairy farm that was just down the road here, the Schweitzers that had the big dairy farm, I'm sure you knew them or you were neighbors to
Oh,
them.
yeah, very much.
And they did kind of, I won't say, they sold a great deal of piece of property, and then the people that bought the property complained about the smell of cows and pigs.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there were more people voting in Cold Spring, so, you know, you go with the flow, and I think he eventually sold a
Oh,
lot of his
yeah.
property
Yeah.
for the same reason.
Yeah.
So, all the people that wound up back here behind you, do you know most of your neighbors?
Well, no, she's got a niece, and I guess her sister's daughter-in-law lives over back there, and Lou Conrad lives right next door to him.
Okay.
I know, and then.
Well, the point I was going to get to, all of those people are missing a treat not knowing you well because you've had such an interesting life.
Lou and Jenny Conrad, we've been friends for years.
Great.
And they live right next door to her niece. And then her niece, and then the next door is her sister's daughter-in-law lives next door. And then Anna
So it's
Mary,
quite a few people that you do know back
Anna
there.
Mary Hensley
Yeah.
lives, she belongs to our church. She's 2 years younger than I am. And she lives right back here behind us.
And you know the church community is usually a great place to meet friends and continue your
very
lives
much so.
together. Now I want to ask you a couple of questions about really early in both of your lives. What was the first car you remember driving?
The first car was a 25 Model T Ford Coupe.
Coupe.
And believe it or not, it belonged to Jack Thatcher's mother-in-law, and she drove it from North Carolina up here, and she was a home demonstration agent when she came up here from North Carolina with her daughter, which was Jack's wife.
Now what was your mother-in-law's name?
My mother-in-law, Julia Hortig.
Okay. And that's the lady that, oh no, I'm sorry, Jack Thatcher's mother-in-law. What was her name? Was she a Cherry?
I don't,
The reason I asked that, there was some Cherry family that came from
No,
North
her-
Carolina that,
her name was Cole, C-O-L-E.
okay,
And that was what, that Jack's wife's
I see.
name was Lillian Cole
okay.
before they were married.
And she was the county extension agent for Campbell County?
Yeah,
Okay.
her, Lillian's mother was.
Mm-hmm.
She came from North Carolina.
I see, yeah.
And they drove a Model T Ford, and I drove their car when I was only, I think, 8 or 9 years old.
Yeah.
When I learned to drive on a Model T with 3 pedals on the floor.
And that operated forward and reverse, but there wasn't really a brake, was there, or was that third
Well,
one?
that was a
Because
brake, but
You played with the
you,
3 pedals.
you could drag your feet just as about as well as stop.
Now, do you remember, Mary, the first car that you possibly drove or you rode in from down in Owsley County?
My father never had a car. He just drove he owned a coal mine, and we really lived off the coal mines. He would go and a big old, they'd just get a big hole, dig a hole in the mountain and build a coal mine, you know, with
Yes.
tracks and everything.
Right.
And so my dad almost got killed in the coal mine. He had set off a dynamite to bring the coal down,
Yes.
and he just went in the mouth of the coal mine, and it blew up the coal. The dynamite did go off, but Dad was going to check it, see why it didn't go off. And when he went in that mouth of the cave, that coal hit his face, and his face was just a mass of coal chips in his mouth.
Right.
And face.
Pretty dangerous job.
Yeah, and it injured one of his eyes. And when he died, he had like a film over his eye, like
Coal mining
coal mining.
today is still tough work, and
Yeah, it
even the
is.
people that work in the limestone mines,
Oh yeah,
white lung's probably as bad as black lung when you think about the
yeah.
consequences. But it's a
Yeah.
hard way to make a living, but
Yeah.
those folks persist and they keep making a living and raising their children.
Oh,
and they
yeah.
all
They don't know
Well,
anything.
we-
have a good work ethic because you have to keep doing that.
Oh yeah.
Now, I'm going to go back and ask Les about his truck driving, because you had a couple of pretty serious experiences, didn't you?
Yeah.
You were contracting to CNO at one point, is that right? You were working for what company?
I was working for Schroeder's Express.
Schroeder.
And we had a contract for haul all the CNO material from the CNO Railroad, and they had different stations. They had a station in Bellevue, Dayton, Silver Grove, Brent, And when the company, C&O main office was in, their repair office was in Silver Grove.
Yeah, it's the Stevens Yard.
Yeah, the old Stevens Yard, and that was what they called Stevens Station. And the company material was supposed to be handled by the C&O employees only. And I had a shipment that I was going to load on I had a big truck, and I backed it into the dock, and I went, I don't know, maybe it was 20,000 pound of it or something like that. Anyway, the pieces weighed 950 pound apiece, and they had a big hub on the end of them. And
It was steel pipe, right, or cast iron pipe?
yeah, they were cast iron pipe, and they were joined together with collars. And I got a little nervous, and I didn't want to wait on the gang to load the truck for me, so I was going to load some of it myself. And I had a big two-wheel truck. I don't know if you're familiar with a two-wheel.
2 and 4 and 6, and a lot of times they used a 6-wheel thing that had 2 big wheels in the center.
Well,
This is a 4-wheel cart?
This one just had 2 wheels
Oh.
with handles on
Okay.
it, and they hauled freight on it. And I had that piece of pipe balanced on there, and I should have put a piece of cardboard on the lip of the so that it didn't slip. But I didn't do that. I was going down the platform, and there was a crack in the floor, and those wheels hit that, and the two-wheel truck stopped, and the pipe didn't, and it whirled around and knocked me down, and I tried to hold it, and it mashed me in against the boxcar and broke my back. And I couldn't get up out of there, and they called my boss, and they took me to the St. Mary's Hospital.
And was this in Cincinnati, the St. Mary Hospital?
Yeah, and on Lynn Street.
Okay.
And they took me out there in a paddy wagon. I don't know whether you know what a paddy wagon is.
I know what a paddy wagon is.
Well,
It was the
paddy
police.
wagon has, you might as well say, no springs. It doesn't ride very easy.
Prisoners didn't get too much comfort.
And my boss was on one side of me, and captain of police was on the other side, and they were trying to hold me up off of the seat, nothing but a wooden seat. Well, anyway, they took me to the hospital and examined me, and I had a broken back. And Dr. Asbury in the crew tower told my boss that I never would walk anymore. And I spent 35 days in a plaster cast, paralyzed, out in St. Mary's Hospital, laying on a plastic or plywood board. And I finally started to move around a little bit, and I drove a truck for 40 years after that. So
Well, you did okay, considering that they didn't
Yeah.
think you were going to walk.
they
Yeah.
didn't think I was going to walk anymore.
Now, in your early life, did you have hobbies? Did you do any hunting or fishing or anything like that?
No, well, I did some hunting, but I never was much of a fisherman. I was too nervous. I couldn't, if they didn't bite within a few minutes, I didn't stay there.
You didn't have much patience.
I didn't have any patience.
Well, I think a lot of us that enjoy fishing are in that same boat.
What about that thing he makes? Is that
That's what I'm going to ask.
Okay.
Now, I know that you have got this little loom here, and you have made scarves, is that right? And
Yeah.
how many have you given away or sold or made?
Well, I've given almost 300 away, and I've got about, I guess I got 60 of them there now.
All right. I'm going to bring a couple of them in and let her fill them.
Holy cow.
And, you know, the beauty and the color of this
Isn't that something?
is amazing. The
It
amount
is.
of patience and time that it takes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more, I guess, hanging in there of any color that you've ever seen. I'll bring another one in to get a good close look real quick. And he's actually working on more now.
Look at that.
But look at the bright colors in this and how intricate it is.
I know.
I can see right now that probably I should have put my order in for a pretty good pair of socks, any color, to keep my feet warm.
Who taught you how to do that?
My youngest daughter, she taught me, showed me a couple times how to do it, and got me started, and I've been doing it ever since. And I've been doing it about 2.5 years now.
Well, let's see, at 302.5 years, that's about 75 or 80 a year. When you break that down into weeks,
Yeah.
you're making better than 1.5 a week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah, he-
sometimes it takes me a little longer. I know, yesterday I didn't do anything because I felt bad out
Uh-huh.
there. And I didn't, my
His
hands been
bothered him.
hurting me.
Well, you
and
can imagine him
It's
if
been
we.
stiffened up, and it's swelled, and I didn't know what was the matter with it, but I soaked it in hot water, and then my daughter put ice cubes on it, and it feels better now.
Well, good.
It don't hurt now.
So if you've made 300 plus, you're allowed to take a day off now and then, I would think,
Yeah.
and take care of your hands. And
I just started another one, but it's not it's not going to be easy. This is a kind of hard one to do.
Now I have a question. Why did somebody think you knew about that cemetery up there in Alexandria behind the Southern States? That's how I found your name.
Well, Fred Lothey, that's Mary's son-in-law. That's her oldest daughter's husband. They belong to the
St. Paul's.
St. Paul's
St. Paul's.
United
Church of Christ, and they are doing some kind of research
Right?
on the graveyard. It used to be the old graveyard that belonged to that church,
Still does.
and that's where they were had the university in on it, and I don't know, different ones on there, and historical.
But do you know people
No,
there?
I don't really know. They asked me if I knew anything about it. I said no. I know that the priest's house is on this side of the street, but the old graveyard used to be on this side, across the street from the priest's house. But John Keyes, that's George's dad, lived in the house next to Southern States. There's a cottage. I don't know whether you'd call it a cottage.
Is
or
it
not.
is it the building right next to the cemetery where Mr. Keyes lived?
Yeah.
Or was okay?
Yeah. There was a house there, and that was the Keyes property. But I don't know anything anymore about it than that.
Well, that's how I found you.
So we're
Now,
kind of glad that we didn't get the accurate information, but at least we're getting accurate information from your life and your life. It's such a joy that you can remember all of these things and pass them on.
Oh yeah.
Uh, like I say, your neighbors who don't know you personally are missing quite a treat. But maybe someday we'll see one of their scarfs and I'll identify it.
Well, now my Buck Height, they just buried him the day before yesterday.
Oh.
And I didn't know that he was dead. But he
Have we read it?
lives right across the yard from me.
Uh-huh.
And his neighbor lives right next door to him. She's the one gave me this chair. Her husband, she only had it 2 weeks, I think it was, and her husband died.
Uh-huh.
And that was
Well, it was very nice of her
her
to
second.
share this
yeah.
on.
And she had that, and she told Mary was out walking one day, and she met her on the street out
Luckily,
there, and she told that, it said, we were welcome to this chair if I wanted it. And it's a lift chair, you know, it lifts lifts me up in the air, and I can lay down in it. But my daughters, two daughters, they have remodeled the chair quite a bit. They put a piece of
Foam rubber.
foam rubber underneath of there, and they put that piece of material under there, and I can sleep in it, and it brings my feet up above my head, you know.
Yeah.
That's what they want me to bring my feet up, because I just got out of the hospital a few weeks ago with the heart failure, congested heart failure,
Okay.
and.
And they want to keep your blood pressure, right, by getting your feet up in the
They
air.
want to keep keep the water off.
Out of your lungs and
And,
off your ankles and feet.
I weighed 213 pounds when I went in there, and I weigh 185 now. So they took that much water off of me,
Wow.
and I had my legs that
Let's kind
swelled
of
up.
wrap this up a little bit. What would you say has given you why you've lived so long? What is it that you've done that makes you be 95 years old?
I don't know, by being careful, I guess.
That's probably a good answer.
Okay.
I'm going to ask one more question of both of you. What advice would you give to the younger people today as far as a philosophy for living their lives? I know hard work enters into your
Well, yes.
logic.
I think trusting in the Lord is about the biggest thing I can think of, and that's our keeper. And if we don't trust in the Lord, we're in bad shape.
Absolutely. And Mary, you kind of go with that same
Yes.
philosophy?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, like I was telling you about the missionary that I spent
Uh-huh.
just the nights, but I would go home during the day, come back and stay with her at night until I got about
We went
16. Then I got interested in boys.
Ah,
I didn't want to stay with her overnight.
well, God was a boy, we think.
Yeah.
So-
But, yeah, my faith and some of the young people, they just take everything for granted. And they sit around with these computers, I mean, not computers, but
iPods and
iPods and things. And
social media games.
Yeah.
Keeping busy, I think
They
it's a
don't
lot.
really
Yeah.
listen or anything, but they're just using that all the time.
Well, I think you both have had a very well-rounded life as far as your extended family and community and
Yeah.
hard work, your religious ideas.
Faith.
So it's certainly been a pleasure to interview and talk to both of you and learn of your,
We both got wonderful families.
Oh, yeah. I've got
My
precious.
my two girls, they take care of me like I'm a baby.
well, you took care of them for a long time.
Yeah, that's
That's
right.
what they claim.
Yeah.
My youngest daughter, she's over here every day. And she lives over in Camp Spring.
Ah,
And my oldest boy, he lives in Burlington. And he calls me almost every day. And then my oldest daughter, she lives in Middletown. And she's had some very bad experiences. She's had open heart surgery 3 or 4 different times.
wow.
Her husband just had open heart surgery, and they've had all kind of bad mishaps. And
He didn't tell you, but, excuse me, he's got an artificial
A valve?
I've got a artificial valve, aortic valve
Uh-huh.
in my heart. I've had that in there since '97.
Well, you've
That's
done
why
very
you've
well.
lived
That's a
so
great
long.
survival rate. And
Plastic
I know you're active too, because you've got your little golf cart out there and you have
Oh,
all the
yeah.
property that you have
Well,
to take care
yeah, I
of.
usually go get the mail every day.
Uh-huh.
And
Well, you know, keeping your mind occupied and your hands with those
yeah.
scarves that you've
Yeah.
made, and they're very beautiful scarves. That's something to certainly be proud of.
I built and rebuilt lawnmowers and chainsaws and bicycles. I had over 1,000 bicycle wheels.
You know, I remember years ago passing here and saw all the bicycles in the yard, And I thought, well, this guy's either a wheeler dealer or he buys them and sells them or something, but you repaired them and then put them back
He-
in part of the
He
neighborhood.
I've
repaired 'em.
rebuilt them, built them, and done everything to them that could be done.
Well, it certainly was a treasure to have your talents passed back out into the community.
I never did that while I was driving a truck. But
Now, what year did you retire from being a truck driver?
57.
1950.
No, let's see, I was 57 when I retired.
I see.
And I was, it was 1970, 75, I believe, when I retired.
Okay. Well, you had a long career driving trucks. You had a long career repairing bicycles.
Yeah.
Now you've got a long career making scarves.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Well, you're doing
But
well.
I worked, excuse me, but I worked at following the piano.
Oh,
Yeah,
up on Gilbert.